Alright guys, it's Rich from the Wave Shack, back with another video, and today I'm showing you how to correctly attach your GoPro Surfboard Mount to your surfboard. So let's get started. So guys, to do this installation you're going to need a few things. Firstly, the stuff from your GoPro Surfboard Mount kit. This should include your GoPro Surfboard Mount, the adhesive anchor, your camera tether and your locking plug. You're also going to need a standard GoPro mount, a standard GoPro thumbscrew and your GoPro or whatever case you're going to use on this surfboard. You're also going to want to remove any previous wax and or oily residue on the surface of your surfboard. This just makes sure that the GoPro Surfboard Mount bonds properly, and to do that you're going to need some cotton pads. If you haven't got any cotton pads, some tissue will do fine. I'm going to be using some white spirit, but equally if you don't have any white spirit you can also use methylated spirit, and if you haven't got either of these then you can just use some warm soapy water and that should do the job as well. So on to step one, preparing your surfboard. So all I'm doing here is adding some white spirit to a cotton pad and then going back and forth on the surfboard to remove any oily residue left over by previous wax. Once you feel like you've done that, you'll then need to dry it off. Again, just getting another cotton pad and again using some back and forth motions, circular motions to remove any of the moisture left over. This again, by drying it, helps improve the bond between your new GoPro Surfboard Mount and your surfboard, which will reduce the chances of it coming off whilst you're surfing. So the next step is to actually attach your GoPro Surfboard Mount and your adhesive anchor to your surfboard. Now the placement depends quite a lot on the length of your surfboard, but hopefully you'll have a good idea of where you want it to go. If you're unsure, my advice would be to place it in the centre. So if you have a stringer like I do on my board, then you can use that for guidance. Having it in the centre will allow you to get the widest possible angle of you surfing the wave you're on. If your surfboard is just a bit taller than you are, you've got to be careful of how far back you place the surfboard mount because you don't want it to be in your face whilst you're paddling. That's just really annoying and it doesn't make for the best video, trust me. Likewise, we don't want to place it too close to the nose because then it's easier for water to hit your camera, and then what happens then is it hits your camera and the camera is forced forward and then points at the surfboard rather than pointing at you on your surfboard. So again, with the adhesive anchor you just need to remove the red sticker, and then for neatness I like to place it at a right angle to the surfboard mount. Once you've done that, give it a good press down, and GoPro recommend leaving it for 24 hours before venturing into the waves. They've also mentioned that these surfboard mounts don't bond as well with foam surfboards, so my advice for those of you who are doing this on a foam surfboard would be to get yourself a floaty backdoor. If you don't know what a floaty backdoor is, just continue watching as it's one of my tips at the end of the video.
24 hours later.
So after waiting 24 hours, the next step is where things get a bit fiddly. The first thing you'll need is your camera tether, and we're simply going to feed this through the adhesive anchor and out the other side. Once it's out the other side, create a small loop and then feed the camera tether through that loop to properly secure it to the adhesive anchor, just like so. Once you've done that, grab your standard GoPro mount, and we basically want to slot this into the surfboard mount, and we do this just by pushing it through until we hit a click. Once you've done that, the next thing is your locking plug, and this will fit into the back of your standard GoPro mount to stop it popping off whilst you're surfing. So just push it down until it feels secure and it should fit perfectly. After that, it's just a case of grabbing your standard GoPro thumbscrew, and this will then go through the loop in your locking plug and be used to help mount your GoPro in the next bit. So I'm going to be showing you two ways to tether your GoPro to your surfboard mount. The first way is recommended by GoPro, but is dependent on the type of GoPro model you have. The second way is not as good as the first way, but is universal, so it can be applied to any GoPro being mounted on a surfboard. So first, the recommended way of tethering your GoPro to your surfboard mount. Now when I'm surfing, I use my fairly old GoPro Hero 5 Black. As with most older GoPro models, it came with its own case, and it's the metal bar within the case that will actually allow me to attach the GoPro the recommended way. So the first step is to basically completely remove the back door of the case. Once the back door is off, the metal bar should be visible, and we just have to feed the camera tether through that gap between the metal bar and the back door. Once it's through the gap, you then make a loop, and you want to pass that loop around the entire back door so that you're securing it properly. So just pull it tight once you've done that, and basically this is the best way to attach your back door to the surfboard mount. Once you've done that, just grab the rest of your GoPro case and obviously clip it back together, and once it's clipped together, the final step is basically to slot your GoPro case into the mount and then tighten it up using the standard GoPro thumbscrew. Once you've done all that, your GoPro is now properly attached to your surfboard mount using the best and recommended method from GoPro. If you're not able to do this first method, don't worry. The second method is universal and will work for any GoPro model or GoPro case that has the usual two prongs at the bottom. As far as I'm aware, these two prongs are fitted to all of GoPro's cameras and their camera cases, and it's these two prongs that we'll be using to help tether the GoPro for this second method. So all you have to do is thread the camera tether in between the two prongs at the bottom. Hopefully you can see that there. You then just slot your GoPro case into the mount with the tether still in between, and then secure the camera using your standard GoPro thumbscrew, and you're done. Obviously this isn't the recommended way to attach your GoPro to your surfboard mount, but it's still a great way for those who don't have that backdoor hinge used in the first method. So to end the video, I'm just going to give you two quick tips that will help keep your GoPro as safe as possible whilst you're surfing. So my first tip would be to purchase one of these things. It's called a GoPro Floaty, or Floaty Backdoor for the older models. So let's pretend your GoPro comes off your surfboard whilst you're surfing and you don't have a floaty backdoor attached. What happens is basically your camera sinks to the bottom very quickly and you'll be lucky to actually find it. However, if you have one of these attached, your GoPro would float to the surface. Because of the bright colour, you'd actually be able to spot it fairly easily and grab it. So it's kind of a cheaper insurance policy for your expensive GoPro. Now, they don't all look like this one. The newer ones are actually a rubber case that fit around the GoPro, but they all work in the same way. So that's my first tip. My second tip is to actually wait the 24 hours for the adhesive to bond. GoPro do recommend it for a reason, so if you're installing one of these things before a sesh, be aware that your GoPro and your surfboard mount are more prone to falling off. So those are my quick tips to keep your GoPro safe. I'm sure if you followed all the steps and the advice in this video, then you've got nothing to worry about. So guys, I'm hoping your GoPro surfboard mounts are now attached to your surfboards. Let us know in the comments below if you found this video helpful. If you like surfing content, be sure to check out my other how-to guides, and I've done some other product reviews for surfing products, so be sure to check them out as well. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.